If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray. Hooray. Good, happy song to begin our day today. Let's see if let's see how we do for Susan. Hey, Cesaro. You want it? Yes. I'm the King. Goku's here. Niles back in. Andrew's back with us. Mike Lombardo back. Jacob's back in. We got a lot of the regular class here. Hey, Glenn. Good to see you again, pal. Now, how we doing? Wonder. It looks like maybe a so-so day for notifications. Member berries. I remember TKD, CDV, Jose. Gary goes ham. Crypto Siren. Lix is back in. Excuse me, Lifer, Skycats. Excuse me, Guild. Jonathan Velez. Zoarudo. All right, guys, we got a lot of stuff to get to today. There's several things I want to talk to you guys about. Arthur, you need a root canal? Oh, I feel for you, my friend. Oh, those suck. I've had them. Oh, they're such a pain in the mouth. They say, though, I haven't had one in years. They say the process for them is a lot better now. I guess a lot less painful. I hope so for your benefit. You got a notification now? Cool. Well, first, I do want to talk to you guys, just as the title says. I posted this on Twitter. I want to see what you guys think. If this guy is one of the biggest douchebags in the world or not. I think so. Sell me feet pics. I want to see them toes. Jacob says, yeah. Nobody wants to see those toes. And we'll talk a little bit politics. Looks like the Democrats are like doing their best to implode before they can even get to the primaries. And then there's something near the end of the stream. For those of you who can hang in, I really want you guys' input and advice on something that I'm thinking about. But I won't waste any time. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you may have seen this when I posted it. Let me know what you guys think. This is something this guy, what's his name? David Levitt tweeted the other day. I'm going to put it up here for you guys. I'm stunned by the douchebaggery of it all now. I'll be away from the comments for just a second while I pull this screen up. This David Levitt says, the tweet says, this at Target manager Tory is not honoring the price of their items per Massachusetts law. Okay, you can tell that his panties are a little tight around his tiny little nuts. But now he continues, I just had to call the police because at Target refused to sell me the toothbrush. I did not call 911. This must be in response to people already calling him an idiot. I called the business number for the police and told them it was not an emergency and they could take their time and explain the situation. I'm sure they were concerned. The police verified Target displayed the price of toothbrush for 1 penny. The store manager Tory refused to sell me the toothbrush for a displayed price. The police said I need to sue them and that they are making me a verified report to take to court. And he tags the Better Business Bureau. Corporations like Target are not above the law. The police officer told me they testify that they saw the price and that the manager wouldn't wouldn't sell me the item for the price listed. And then the final one, I love this one. I have not been able to afford to go to a dentist in over 3 years. So yes, I wanted a good toothbrush. I was thrilled to see such an amazing price on an Oral-B, but Target refused to honor it. Now I have to take to court. I don't have enough money to go to the dentist, but I got enough money to sue a major corporation like Target. Now, David is apparently an award-winning multimedia journalist. As someone pointed out in the comment section, apparently being an award winner in the field of journalism doesn't pay all that well if you haven't been to the dentist in 3 years, and you felt like you had. Now, this too, posting her picture there, feeling like he had to shame this Tory. And one more important thing to point out that other commenters pointed out, it says, I don't know how well you guys can see it because it's small on my screen. It's small. It says 1 penny. In big print, it says display. So I'm assuming for a penny, they're willing to sell that display Oral-B that, probably 8,000 different kids have played with the bristles with their fingers and stuff. So I don't imagine, and it's worth much more than a penny. I'm certain it is in no way, shape, or form, as would any reasonable, I'll get back to the comments now so I can see what you guys are saying, as any reasonable human being could assume it wasn't the price of the actual item. I mean, come on, it's not going to be a penny. He's looking to get something for nothing, and he thought he was going to get sympathy. It's Wank Stain David. He thought he was going to get sympathy. He posted this to his what do I say? Chicken and Thumbell is hot. Oh, and Maleficent too. um, and now I should point out as well that they did start a GoFundMe or a crowd. I don't remember where it was through, but a crowdfunding for Tori, the woman that he outed. And I'm sure it's well above that now. Last I heard, she had over $12,000. People had donated so she could go on a vacation because she needs ones. She needs one after dealing with a complete douchebag like this. I didn't know who he was prior either, Cesaro, but absolutely. I mean, it just amazes me. And he apparently, to some level, he's proud of his douchebaggery because the post is still up. That was live on Twitter, which you just saw that I had posted for you guys. It wasn't a screen grab or any. Well, obviously because I was scrolling through and it wasn't a screen grab. Am I wrong, or is that it? This is, and again, I don't want to get too high up on a soapbox, but it's so perfectly definitive of what's wrong with so much of society. I mean, he's an extreme case, but everybody wants something for nothing. Even if it weren't for the fact that it clearly says display on that price tag, so he's going nowhere with this. Of course, he's not going to sue Target. He can't afford to go to the dentist. He's not going to sue Target. Second of all, it says display on it. If he wasn't a complete and total moron, he would have saw that to begin with. And most importantly, even if it was there, it was obviously just a case of human error, just a mistake. But people, it's all about what can I get for nothing. I was thrilled to see such a great value. It wasn't a great value, you fucking moron. They're not selling it for a penny, and you goddamn well know they weren't selling it for a penny, nor were they at any point. You were just looking to get something for nothing. Omega Project says, oh God, this kind of shit drives me nuts. These people shouldn't be allowed out of the house. I couldn't agree more. This stuff just infuriates me. Just the simple concept of being that much of a garbage human being to want to go out and David, if you're seeing this, go ahead and sue me, because that's I would appreciate that, because I'd like to prove in court that you're a garbage human being. What? I mean, seriously. Am I missing something in here? Is there any way, shape, or form that this isn't absolutely just putrid? Rick says the guy's got his head so far up his ass, he's reading the contents of his stomach. Hey, Big Green. And now, I will say this. He got, and again, I haven't reread through the post in a while, in a day or two, but he was getting zero support, which made me feel good. If nothing else, that's what made me feel good about the whole situation. Is it was a purely nonpartisan, because apparently, from what I'm understanding, he's a liberal writer of some sort. Again, obviously not very good, doesn't make a lot of money at it, but nobody was taking his side. It was a nonpartisan issue. Everybody said, yeah, you're crap, dude. Gary Goes Ham says, hey, I saw a nice motorcycle for nothing at the dealership. I took it and don't know why I got arrested. Pretty much, Arthur. Yeah, you'd seen you had seen a sign on there. It said free. Okay, it looked like it was handwritten, and it was on a piece of cardboard, but it said free. They got to honor it. Arthur says, nothing wrong with wanting free stuff. Just understand you've done nothing to deserve it. There's nothing wrong with free stuff if somebody, right, and I'm agreeing with what you're saying, Arthur, if somebody is offering you free stuff. This was a case where clearly there is no way that obviously an item like that was ever priced at a penny, and even more clearly, just read the tag that says display. And it says a penny again because it's a toothbrush display that's been out in the open. And wow, can you even let's deviate a little from the path for just a moment and think about the concept of taking a toothbrush that has been on display in Target and putting that in your mouth. Wow! Oh, what a festival you would be creating in there. Glenn says, also his tweets have disproven his haven't gone to the dentist for the last 3 years BS too. Really, Glenn? I didn't see that. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise. And it doesn't surprise me, and that makes it even worse. The guy is actually, after all this, instead of just taking the loss and being done with it and saying, you know what, this was stupid, I'm going to drop it, and deleting the whole thing, he tries to turn sentiment towards himself because he has been able to go to the dentist in 3 years, and it was a wonderful deal, and he wants people to feel sorry for him. If I could have called Alex says, if I could have called people like this, scream at the top of my lungs and hang up. It's unbelievable. Member berries. Unfortunately, this is true to a very large degree. The proud United States 2020. People are proud of being douchebags to people who work in customer service. Couldn't agree more. That is just infuriating to me in general. You know, and you see it all the time. And fortunately, you guys know me, I don't have a lot of filter. And it's one of the reasons that I say if there's any one group that I have a predisposition of disliking, it's old people. And it's because so many times I see it, now this wasn't the case, but see it being old people who think that we all owe them the world. But that aside, I've often believed when we talk about, you know, people struggling and minimum wage and things like that, my stance on that, I've always thought that a great way to try and ease that is we know that people who work in food service are typically among, unless you're in a big fancy restaurant, are typically along the bottom part of the curve in wages. So towards that end, if I go out to a restaurant, if the service is just meh, and the server is there doing their job, I tip typically 18%, maybe 20%. Okay, hold on. This says spam risk. We might need to talk to somebody here. Hold on. For all the good that display toothbrush would do your teeth, you might as well stick it up your ass. You are correct. Omega. Oh. Hello?
This is an important message regarding your current credit card account. We have
My
made several
current
attempts to
credit
reach
card
you.
account.
This is your final courtesy call before we are unable to lower
I
your
made it
credit
just
card
in time.
interest rate. Press 1 to speak to the member
Well,
services department.
yeah.
Press 2.
Hook me up.
Card services, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good. Are you responding to get low rates?
Yes.
On which card?
I want to get it on my MasterCard, my Visa, and my balls are too big card.
What's the card number on the Visa card?
The card number on the Visa card? I got it really early in the Visa program. The card number is 17. Oh, now he doesn't want to help me lower my rate just because I've had my card for a long time. God damn it, and he sounded like a nice guy, too. Why do these people want to help me and then they don't, really? They say they do, but they don't want to help at all. What is the card number? Does anybody, hold on, does anybody actually ever give them their credit card number? Do they really? I should have asked my toothbrush was Hydra, dude. You're right. What the hell? The balls are too big card. Yeah, I never leave home without it. Fuck American Express. That was the balls are too big cards catchphrase first. Yeah. I know, it was entirely rude, Lifer. Now I completely forgot the rant. He interrupted my rant. God damn it. This community said, I've been keeping a hush for a while, but your afro, Mike, looks like a penis. Well, I don't know. It does. It looks a little bit like an afro penis, but he's got a lot of issues. Let's Afro Mike, no. Afro Mike, don't. He also doesn't like it when he's not on camera. Stereotypical Indian customer service on a guy it was too, Itsunagi. You couldn't have made that more of a stereotype if you were trying to. We should or it was tech support. Damn it, I missed the super chat. I missed the super chat. Super chat? Super chat? Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks, thank you for pointing that out. Dragon says, if you haven't gone to the dentist in 3 years, that is your fault, and the best toothbrush in the world isn't going to do anything. Well, that's a good point, Dragon, because I was, I'm glad you brought that up, because I got sidetracked there. That's another thing. Just what Dragon said. If you haven't been to the dentist in 3 years, do you think that Act toothbrush is is gonna undo that damage. Jacob says you should sue him because he didn't give you free stuff. You're right. You're right. He offered to help me, and then he wouldn't because he didn't like my card number. You know what? You know what got me a little bit about him too. The my balls are too big card wasn't enough to tell him that maybe I wasn't playing fairly with him. He needed to go a little bit further. Thank you for calling customer service. This is Steve. Yeah, Afro Mike Stream 1. Fuck Afro Mike. Afro Mike's going to be a big pain in the ass as Afro Chair was at one point. Afro Mike, guys, don't call him out. Afro Mike, stop. Seriously, stop. You sir, yeah, we get them every once in a while, Jose. We like it when they call in, but we this has been so. We got to get back to discussing what a douchebag David Levitt is. We almost forgot about that, but in essence, that's what I was starting to say. This extends further. It's to something like that to me. You know, wanting that toothbrush for a penny is similar to the reason that so many things are so costly, so ridiculously expensive nowadays is because of our lawsuit happy society. I mean, and covering up the cost of frivolous lawsuits is why so many things are outrageously priced, including in the medical field, specifically in the medical field, because the insurance, their what's the word I want, guys? Malpractice insurance. It's just gotten outrageous because everybody wants to sue. Everybody wants to cash in. A doctor can come in and do his or her absolute damnedest to help you, save you, do anything they can for you in any way. And there are so many people that if somebody later gets in their ear and says, well, they should have tried this procedure instead, immediately they want to sue someone. And it's all the same type of mentality. It's all that same, how can I get something for nothing or next to nothing mentality. It drives me crazy. You're right, Andrew. You're 100% right. It's unfortunate that a lot of laws actually protect and side with a ton of these idiots that sue. You're 100% right. We're a perfect example. My stepdaughter, who has multiple disabilities, you guys know that. She has cerebral palsy. It all happened because she got spinal meningitis when she was young, and it took a while for them to diagnose what exactly was going on, and that's what left her blind and with the brain damage and the seizure activity and so on and so forth. Now, there actually was, because they didn't diagnose her properly at the start, that led to the damage being so extensive. My wife could have sued them and could have successfully sued them. And she said at the time, and still says, she's not going to sue people who were doing their absolute best. It wasn't readily apparent what was going on. And it was backed up by other doctors, even the ones who eventually determined what had happened, that the symptoms she was demonstrating, they went what is typically the most common direction. Unfortunately, it was the meningitis. But you're going to sue somebody? You're going to try and ruin their careers because they tried to save a little girl's life? I mean, they did the best they could, and they made calls in that emergency situation that made sense. It was just unfortunate that they took a swing at the wrong thing first. A display toothbrush combined with no dentist trip in 3 years, Dragon says, would cause you to die from what would probably be a pretty bad infection. Oh yeah, Dragon, you put that display toothbrush in your mouth, I gotta believe you're rooting for death just moments later. I would be. Could David Levitt be related to Gordon Joseph Levitt? What a coincidence if true, Barry says. People are becoming famous for no reason, but suing for big amount of cash they absolutely don't deserve. It's terrible, Jose. I mean, it's such a drain overall on our society and on our economy, and it's never really addressed. The one that we always go back to, of course, was decades ago now, was the lady who went through the McDonald's drive-through, the old lady, and spilled whatever it was, a coffee or a hot chocolate or whatever, spilled some on herself, sued, and won a huge settlement because it was too hot. You asked for a hot beverage. You weren't smart enough to determine exactly how warm that was before you slapped it on yourself, put it to your lips, whatever the case may be. And the problem is not only the people bringing the superfluous lawsuits, it's a judge that would rule in her favor. Oh, there you go. Michael was saying the same thing. People bring up the woman who sued McDonald's because her coffee was too hot, but what most don't know is she had third-degree burns and almost died. What I read, I didn't read anything about almost death, that she had some serious burns. However, I did read that the coffee was at a temperature that typically coffee is served. I don't know what that temperature would be. It's been, like you said, Michael, it's got to be going over 30 years ago, wasn't it? That whole thing happened. And for me personally, and it goes back to what I just outlined about my daughter, it doesn't matter. It was a hot beverage. Any hot beverage, you're going to get some serious burns if you spill it on yourself. If you make it at home, if you want it hot enough to be a hot beverage that's satisfying that taste, it's hot enough to burn you. But me personally, she had third-degree burns and almost died. I find that hard to believe. I put it this way. If she almost died from spilling a hot beverage on herself, she was pretty close to that end anyway. There's just no two ways about it. I don't care. It's still not McDonald's fault for serving a hot beverage when a hot beverage is requested. Coffee is hot. No, exactly, Maz. That's exactly my point. Any hot beverage is going to give you, I don't know what degree, I'm not a doctor, but it's going to give you a severe burn if you spill it on yourself. We make ourselves hot beverages all the time. Hell, anything you make on the oven, cook up some macaroni and cheese, boil some hot dogs. Obviously, if you spill that water, you're going to burn yourself. Same thing with a hot beverage. If you spill it on yourself, you're going to get burned. Again, if a burn almost caused her to die, she wasn't that far from the precipice anyway. Did she take a freaking coffee shower or something? How'd you pull that out? Exactly, Andrew. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree. Itsunagi, I agree. I'd be more pissed off. He says, you know what triggers me the most? When your hot beverage comes as a lukewarm beverage. Yeah, I'd be more pissed off because my beverage wasn't hot enough. From what I've heard, the coffee was boiling, the machine was broken, and the drink got too hot. See, I don't remember that. I don't remember reading that at all, Dragon, because if I remember right, too, on appeal, wasn't it thrown out? Wasn't her... We can look it up. I wanted to say, and again, I could be misremembering, but on appeal, I thought that got thrown out. Let me see. Let's see if there's anything about it. We'll put woman burns self McDonald's. That should be good enough search terms. Here it is. Liebeck versus McDonald's restaurants. This is Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. Something like this, I don't think people would be too anxious to come in and change. So she was awarded 2.79-year-old third-degree burns in her pelvic region, which she accidentally spilled hot. Ultimately, Liebeck was only awarded $640,000. So that's what it was. It was reduced. She was hospitalized for 8 days while she underwent skin grafting, blah, blah, blah. Liebeck's attorneys argued that at 180 190 degrees, McDonald's coffee was defective, claiming it was too hot and more likely to cause serious injury than coffee served at any other establishment. Tried to settle for less than what the jury awarded. So the case was said by some to be an example of frivolous litigation. ABC News called the case the poster child of excessive lawsuits, while the legal scholar Jonathan Turley argued that the claim was a meaningful and worthy lawsuit. Burn incident, pre-trial, sought to settle McDonald's for $20,000 to cover actual and anticipated expenses. Trial and verdict. The trial took place from August 1994. So it was 26 years ago. I was right, about 30. Testimony that made third-degree burns in about 3 seconds and 180 degrees. Coffee may produce. I'm just reading this. Here we go. They presented evidence that the coffee had tested all over the city was served at a temperature at least 20 degrees lower than McDonald's served. Liebeck's lawyers also presented the jury with expert testimony that 190-degree coffee may produce third-degree burns in about 3 seconds, and 180 may produce in about 12 to 15, or in temperature at 160 would increase the time for coffee to brew. So I guess we really don't know unless we can find out what other establishments routinely serve their hot beverages at. It was then reduced by 20%. The judge reduced punitive damages. So she basically she was awarded that money, and then it was reduced. It wasn't overturned. It was reduced. Hold on, I got to make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything while I was reading. What we'd have to find out is what it was said to be at 180 to 190 degrees. What is the typical temperature that a hot beverage is served at? But again, for me, to me, and again, maybe this is just because we're all different. If I get a hot drink and I'm stupid enough to spill it on myself, it wouldn't even occur to me, nor would I accept an offer to sue someone, simply because I knew it was a hot beverage and I screwed up and I spilled it on myself. But I'm a big personal responsibility person. I don't think there's enough personal responsibility taken, so I guess it all depends on whose perspective you want to look at it from. So some people are saying, well, she has a right to that money because of her pain and suffering. I say don't spill it on yourself, and it wouldn't have been a problem to begin with. I don't drink coffee either, Jeff. I guess we're safe. I'm not a big hot beverage type of guy. Once in a blue moon, I'll have a hot chocolate, but I don't like coffee. Aiden, there you go. Imagine I sued you because I thought one of your videos wasn't up to par, so I guess I'll sue you. Actually, you should. I can point you to some videos where I didn't really come through. I think I deserve it. Well, of course, you guys could probably sue me for any of the, or you could sue Golden for any of the Golden videos. None of them should have been displayed to the public to begin with. And the video, oh gosh, that's still up. Do you guys remember the video where a spaz kid walks in on me in the bathroom singing "Let It Go"? Anybody who had to sit through that should sue me as well. The reason people remember that case of frivolous lawsuits is because she was painted that way by McDonald's. She didn't want to sue at all originally. No, it said she had made she, through her legal team, had made an offer to McDonald's on what they would settle for. Right, she didn't want to sue, she wanted a settlement. And McDonald's said that basically they don't feel that they were liable, that she spilled it on herself. So I don't know that you could say she didn't want to sue. She wanted to get paid. She was just willing to do it without a lawsuit. She was willing to settle. It said so right in the article. But again, it all depends on your perspective. If you think that you as an individual dropping a hot drink on yourself and burning yourself means that the person who made the hot drink is responsible because you think it was, as the article said, 20 degrees too warm, then you're going to sue. Personally, I think that's coffee should be served at 160 to 185. Glenn says 185 is max. Well, according to the article, it was between 180 190 degrees. And her legal team said it should only be at 160. So it, and again, there you go. If we take what Glenn has for numbers there, McDonald's is on the high end of acceptable. Excuse me. She was one of 700 people with injuries from hot beverages. Right. I think, again, as I said, I think it all stems to your overall outlook on things. I wouldn't sue somebody for that because now an entirely different story. If I was in the drive-thru, let's change things up just a little bit. If I'm in the drive-thru and I'm reaching up to get my hot coffee and the employee drops it and I get burned, then you got a lawsuit, and then I'm behind that. It's like, yeah, then McDonald's needs to pay for your medical bills, your pain and suffering, the whole nine, because who knows what you lost in work, you had that pain, so on and so forth. That I wouldn't have a problem with. I'm talking about when you've accepted the hot beverage and you spilled it on yourself. Then to me, you took responsibility for it. Now, if you think it was too hot and you hadn't spilled it on yourself, you think it's too hot, and you want to go in and complain and say, man, you guys made this a little bit too hot, that's fine too, but I'm not the type to sue over it. Omega says, My question is, what was she doing that she spilled it to begin with? Yeah, I don't know. At 79 years old, though, you could imagine could be one of any number of things. What my concern is, I think she was in the drive-thru, right? Did I read that? If she's in the drive-thru, my biggest concern is at 79 that she was still out driving. uh, let's see. I think they overheated. Read the full story. Atlas, haven't you been with us? We just read the full story. It was between 180 and 190 degrees. They determined. we just discussed all that. Get out of here. Instinct said there was a really stupid case in the UK where a woman sued a corner shop because she found the chocolate too sweet. Okay, that's worse. I'll give that. It's only a flesh wound. I wouldn't sue if they dropped it on me. Shibumi, I see. Again, I'm not a lawsuit type of guy. I could understand somebody suing for that, particularly if you don't have good health insurance or something that costs you a lot of money. Would I? Unless I was seriously hurt, probably not. It would suck, but it's just not how I'm geared. And again, everybody's different. That's just not how I'm put together. You know, if it was an honest mistake and some kid at McDonald's dropped it on me and I got some burnt shit, but you got to, I guess everybody's own individual life experiences play into it. I've set myself on fire when I went through a flaming table in wrestling. So it's like, I guess everything is graded on the curve of what you're seeing in your life. Somebody accidentally burned me. I'm going to be in pain for a couple days. If this kid, this person, whoever did it, is running out there going, geez, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to put more stress and anguish on them. It was an accident. Rick says, I remember the time a woman sued a another telemarketer. It's our golden day, guys. Hold on. Hello?
Hi, this is Fast Funding. You have
It's
been
Fast Funding.
for a loan of up to $250,000. Press 2 if you're interested and would like to speak to
Yeah.
one of my reps. Again,
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm going to get $250. $250,000. Come on. I need the money now. Please answer.
good afternoon, Fast Funding.
Hi. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, my name's Justin. We're a private equity firm. We provide business owners with working capital. Did you need additional funding for your business, for inventory, equipment?
I actually do. What happened was I was just going through a McDonald's drive-thru and I spilled a hot beverage all over my balls, and now I've got money coming for that. But Jesus Christ. I was going to explain to him that I've got that settlement coming, but now I need some money in the interim. What the hell? Everybody says they want to help you and nobody does. Jeez. Oh, I'm discouraged. He is an asshole, Dylan. He was going to help me, and then I'm explaining to him why I need the money, and he doesn't. Nobody wants to help me with any of my ball troubles. No, they don't, Big Green. They don't, and it really hurts my feelings. It does. It makes me feel bad. Fuck off. But Afro Mike thought he was going to take over the stream because I was emotionally distraught. Shut up. I was trying to just tell him my story. I was explaining why I needed the money. Oh, God damn it. Those balls are beyond saving. Well, we don't have to tell him that, Maz. He doesn't know they were beyond saving at the initial part of the conversation, though. So I should have told him someone gave you chocolate that's too sweet. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Sue him and Spanky the Manky on top of him, Jesse says. Okay, hold on. Now, wait. We're going all kinds of directions here. Now, this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about at the top of the show. I really, really like to get, and I'm going to probably do a stream dedicated just to this as well. So if you want to come in for that one as well, or as the main focus of a stream as well, because I want to get you guys' take on something. Philip says, got reverse trapped at work yesterday. Thought the new girl was a guy until I saw her coming out of the female changing room. Ooh, The reverse trap. And what's worse is the real life reverse trap. Now, this is, so I assume this is not somebody who's has some sort of gender dysphoria or something, just a dude that really, I'm sorry, a girl that really looked like a dude. Oh, bummer. Your penis has to get really confused in a moment like that. um, shit. Now, what I was going to ask you guys, these types of streams, I've been debating. I want to do some things in entertainment along with what we're doing here. I would never stop doing this. I've become too much of an anime geek for one thing. I mean, what we do at the Goosh every day, just what we do at the Goosh, makes me so happy. This would all be, don't get me wrong when I talk about this. This is all in conjunction with what I'm doing. Excuse me, guys. I've been seriously considering, and I told you guys this, going back out and doing stand-up, going back out on the road with a stand-up show again. I've already started putting material together. I got the places lined up where I can do open mics and get some stuff on tape and everything. But I've also been thinking how much fun it would be, because you guys know my education is in journalism, to set up a site where we can do, because I have to be careful with our live streams here, because for instance, if I tell David Levitt here, the guy who wanted the toothbrush for a penny, that he needs to learn to code, which, how could I say that? Because he needs to learn to code because he's a journalist and apparently he's not a very good one. YouTube can actually delete the stream. That's how hypersensitive they become about everything. Whenever I do one of these streams, we do one of these current event streams, they get demonetized. Now, I always appeal them, and typically they eventually get overturned, but it's usually like, I've got one that's been for 4 or 5 days now. Now, the problem with that is it starts to affect the channel adversely, it seems, because if you start getting too many demonetizations, because we never get them on our, or very rarely get them on our regular content, because the algorithm has learned that we're not doing anything to be demonetized. But once they start getting some, it affects the channel overall. Excuse me, guys, I drainage in my ear. I got that thing I've told you guys about before where my eardrums were punctured when I was a kid, and that happens to me all the time. So I was thinking of starting an entire, and I'm not sure how I want to approach it, but an entirely different setup where we would have regular shows that are live streams and that discuss every element of politics, I can't. How do you get a nun pregnant? Has a choir boy fart in her pussy. Oh, Jesse. Oh, that would cover politics, pop culture, everything going on. I want it to be partially humorous, partially serious, just like what we do here. I mean, I enjoy these things so much. But what I'd really like to do is see if I could create a solid audience and a solid desire for people to become involved to the point where I could get it to just bring in enough revenue that we could do things like start doing remote live streams. What got me thinking about it was the whole thing in Virginia yesterday. I would have loved to have been able to go live stream that. Get right in the middle of it. I mean, see both sides, every side of it fairly, talk to the people there. I'd like to do streams at things like that. Go out and do live streams at Comic Cons, Anime Fest, things of that nature. Anything that comes up that looks like it would be fascinating. I mean, in a grand sense, I doubt we could ever get that big to be able for the channel to be able to, or the operation to be able to afford it. But even to go and live stream some from Australia where the fires are taking place and try to bring even more recognition, bring even more attention to things of that nature. But what I'm trying to figure out, the fan meetups, Aiden, we do them on the channel here. Anyway, that's just a matter of being big enough that you could do a meetup and have it be centrally located enough for people to show up. So if we could put all that together, and I would also have a website that backs it up where I would be writing articles as well, put all that together, we would have the streams turned to where they would be call-in streams as well, so you guys could call in and we could actually have conversation. I would get streaming software that would allow us, for those who want to have their, to have their video up with their commentary as well, video chatting. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? But Twitch won't do what we want. I want to make this. I'm hoping to make this big. What we would do is we would stream here on YouTube still, but we would have private streams as well. And so what I'm thinking is I was even thinking of associating a new Patreon with it. And then I was thinking, well, what I would do is take our current patrons and just say, okay, $10 level or above, and you can have memberships to both sites. But then I got thinking that won't work because Patreon doesn't let you do that. If you have a Patreon, they won't let you just allow people in, which is what I'd have to do. So then my suggestion would be to people that are at $10 level to just split it to 5 and 5, because you see everything you want to see at at the Goose for $5 anyway. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about all this? I know, and as Maz says, Twitch has had issues too. But what I want to create our own separate entity, and our own separate, how do I want to put this, lobbying ability. Do you know what I'm saying at all? Where we can come together and discuss not every element of politics that we want to discuss. No, nothing would be off limits because I'd be setting up the streams myself. I don't have to abide by what Twitch thinks are and YouTube's just brutal guidelines. But how would we? Okay, but how would we do? Because would you guys even be in for this? How would we set up some sort of a structure? Because even with our Patreon doing as well as we can, it doesn't do well enough that we could take this and start doing what I'd love to do are the remote streams and get right in the middle of the shit. Like I say, at Virginia, it would have been so much fun to be able to get down there and do a live stream in the midst of all that at Virginia. See, because I don't mind going to stuff like that. People are all afraid because there's all the guns there and shit. I'm 58 years old. I've lived a good life. If somebody shoots me at something, it's okay. I didn't have that much longer to go anyway. I was thinking maybe we could now, like over at the Goosh, we have the Goosh 100s, and they donate $100 a month to be able to sponsor certain videos. Maybe we could do things like where some of the streams you could buy, for instance, say at the $100 level, you could pick one of the streams that month and you would be a guest for the entirety of the stream and be able to put in your 2 cents for the entirety of the stream. Naked streams possibly, Jacob says. I don't know. How you guys tell me. I'm better at the entertaining part of it, I think anyway, or I like to think I'm better at the entertaining part than I am at the business part. How could we set up something like that to where it generated enough revenue just to be able to support the idea of going out and doing those live events and stuff? Now, Philip says, gotta go to work. One last thing before I go. To hell with Trudeau. I may only have the job at the marijuana plant because of him, but I don't want him as my prime minister. From what I'm hearing, Philip, and again, this is just, secondhand, and we don't get much good news out of anything outside of the country because our media thinks that the U.S. the world begins and ends at the U.S. borders. Trudeau's last I heard, his favorability ratings are really in the tank, and I don't know if that's still true. They may have turned around at some point, but from what I've been hearing, they're not good. Not necessarily like Billy on the Street, but politics prism more, because Billy on the Street is going for, obviously, just going for straight up comedy and getting some laughs out of the people. From what I've seen of it, that he interviews, we could do that absolutely, but I would like to be able to go into things again like the Virginia, and I'm trying to give a good range of what I'm talking about, like the whole thing in Virginia where they the pro-gun supporters came in, but also go the other extreme and go to a Comic-Con and interview some of the cosplayers and things like that, because there's no shortage of finding unique people at any type of event. And you just see all the different things that are going on all the time. It just seems like I don't know. It seems like it would be something really, really fun, and we can make it a little bit different. Um, my brain making computer error. Eric Andre's funny, Jacob. I like him. I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking about it, nut roll. It just seems like it would. I was all set to get going on the stand up, but there's so many different pieces I'd have to put together. Um, But then I got looking too at once I was researching, which surprised me. Do you guys know that as far as like just Patreon's a good way to hold up as an example that the top grossing Patreon sites are related to are related to podcasts. So apparently there's but I didn't find anybody that was doing the type of things that we wanted to do that I really want to do because I like the interaction. That's why I want to have, the give and take with you guys to where we could have a phone number set up. And actually, the next one of these streams I'm planning on, I'm hoping to get it set up to where you guys can call into it and we can start testing that. Philip says there's actually a theory going around that his father is actually Castro. I don't buy it. Castro could at least orate. Trudeau can't do anything but read the prompt cards. So what you're saying is so his mom might have been getting a little bit happy with somebody outside of his legendary daddy with another legendary daddy. That's the theory going around his father's Castro. That's what I hear, Philip. From what I'm told, Trudeau is just, and again, this could have changed because this was months ago that I was reading up on this. But at the time, Trudeau's approval ratings were substantially worse than even Trump's. I can get crypto. You can get phone numbers through Google. I also get them. What I would probably do, I can get them through Skype as well, and I would just have Skype running. I can do that with my XSplit. Skype running in the background. You wouldn't even see it. And when the calls come in, you can answer it right through Skype on here. Excuse me. You question been wanting to ask for a while, but how did you feel about Sensui? Okay, I'm having trouble following Tui. You question been wanting to ask for a while, but how did you feel about Sensui and the tape chapter black? Your dad is sick? Oh, that's too bad. Popo recaps Popo. Yeah, I hope you feel better, Matt. You're feeling better. We need everybody we can get on our side. I'm not remembering the tape chapter black. Gosh, Tui, I'd like to answer that for you. I'm not. My Swiss cheese memory is not focusing in on that at all. As far as Yu Yu in general, I enjoyed Yu Yu Hakusho immensely. Really liked it. Well, you can see they hold places of honor, right? Oh, well, no, you can't see because I got everything blocked up. But they have places of honor right over here on my main shelf. We got Yusuke and Big Ginge right over there on our top shelf. So I love the series. To answer that specifically, I don't remember the specifics about that. But needless to say, there was nothing about Yu Yu that I didn't enjoy. Well, thank you, Philip, for being in while you could, pal. He's asking about the video he got called Chapter Black. Oh, okay. All right. The Chapter Black. Oh, that was sick. That was some twisted shit. That was one of the things that made it. I don't want to say so good because that was so fucked up. I don't want to say it made it so good, but it is. It's one of the things that made it so good. That whole video of the worst of humanity, and what it really did was. What I really liked about it too is it certainly that video is inspiration for a lot of great conversation. No question about that. But yes, that was creepy. I know you tried doing call-in streams before and it just sort of stopped at some point. Yeah, Omega. Same reason the gaming ones did. I was having so much trouble with choppiness, and I was having so much trouble with everything cutting out. And that's why I'm able to even think about doing these things now is because we've obviously increased our bandwidth tenfold, literally tenfold, and now with a new computer, the video card, everything is gigged up enough that we can stream pretty much anything we want fluidly. But that's why the call-in streams stopped too, because even trying to run the different apparatus I needed to do them, it was just making everything look like crap. It wasn't even worth doing. It was so crappy at times. Excuse me. Michael says, I'm up for a politics thing, but my political views are pretty much the opposite of yours and others. I'm worried about causing a heated argument. Well, I don't worry about causing arguments. I mean, arguments can be a good thing, because arguments just bring up different perspectives. What I shut down is the same way as I do at the channel, Michael. If people can't argue without going into personal insults and stuff like that, just like I do at the channel, I just get rid of them. Well, you guys obviously don't see it all. I'm doing a lot of it behind the scenes. But when people come in and they're just gonna rail against somebody, or if they come in and they're not bringing actual ideas and opinions, they're just bringing name calling or stupidity, then I just get rid of them. It would be the same thing at that level. Even if it was Patreon, we've had to do that a couple times, unfortunately, at the Goose. Even if it was Patreon related, if somebody comes in and they can't behave properly, if they can't be a part of the community, then I just refund their donation and I bounce them. But yes, we have different political views, absolutely. But as you've seen, the conversations we argue, but they've never gotten into personal attacks or gotten over the top as far as being overheated and stuff. And if people can't do that, they just wouldn't be able to be a part of it. And that what I'm thinking of setting up there, that would be equal parts, though. Wouldn't be just politics. I want it to be comedy, humor. I want it to revolve around movies and pop culture and things like that as well. But I think the biggest draw of it, or the biggest fun of it, would be the two things we would do that others aren't doing, which is to have you guys directly involved with call-ins and getting out and live streaming. And that would equal what I've always wanted to do here. It would bring us to potentially being able to do meetups in the aspect of, okay, let's say it was the thing at Virginia. Now, even if you weren't planning on going to the Second Amendment supporters rally, any of the Virginia people, I would obviously make it known when I was going to be there, where I was going to be, and we could have that as a separate, if there were enough people there to have a meetup, we could have that as a separate stream in and of itself altogether, just hanging out and getting to, I think it'd be kind of cool to get to know each other as we traveled through the screen names and actually see the people that are behind the screen names. The tape that had the crimes of humanity. Yeah, I got it now, Tui. That was, like I say, it was not only twisted, but what I really liked was, again, the amount of conversation it inspired as well. Twister, proper excuse for molesting your cousin, Dylan says. Jesus Christ. Okay, Spider-Boy, thanks for being in while you could. You're not wrong, but I don't think I've ever heard it described quite that way. Prism says, my only concern is that this channel has a pretty strong conservative swing. It does. And I don't know how much of the liberal point of view would be articulated with calling stuff. I don't know. I think that would be up to, because you're still going to have people stumbling across it. I think that would be up to how many people were willing to call in with the liberal perspective on things. I don't think it'd be too much problem when you look at something like, I'm certainly not as conservative as somebody like Ben Shapiro, and I see when they have their forums, when he speaks, they have no shortage of liberals willing to go and confront him with their thoughts on things. So I think it all depends on the way you're treated. I welcome people to come in with a differing perspective on anything, but it's just got to be done within the realm of being, decent human beings about how you're treating one another. I don't think people, but this way, Prism, I don't think you would have a problem. I don't think you would have a problem calling in to give your perspective on something that's opposite of what I think. I don't see any reason people should be afraid to. Let's see. Trudeau is bad on Filipino. How about Duarte? I don't have nearly enough knowledge to comment, giggity goo. I would if I could, But again, as I said over and over, the one sure way to remove any doubt about whether or not you're a fool is to try and intelligently comment on something of which you have limited knowledge. And I don't know enough about Duarte to make a good comment on it. Trudeau I know a little bit more about. Of course, he's our neighbor to the north. But Duarte I couldn't make a good comment on him. Flame Enforcer, unlike liberals, we don't shout people down. Well, in fairness, Flame Enforcer, I've seen conservative pundits that like to shout people down. I don't think that's one side or the other. And you have to remember, too, even though I lean right, I've got a lot of perspectives that the hardcore conservatives don't. First of all, I'm an atheist. That doesn't interfere with anybody on the conservative side. I'm also pro-gay marriage. I'm also pro-choice. So even though I lean right, it's not like coming into converse with me means that you're going to fall in the depths of strictly conservative views. I think I would disagree with Curtis on abortion. I'm very pro-life because right to life supersedes everything else. See, now my only difference there, Sajil, and I'll put this out there as long as we're talking about that. The one difference I have, I'm pro-choice, but the difference I have from a lot of pro-choice people is I don't disagree that abortion is murder. To me, that is a life or a potential life, which would make it, by definition, murder. I don't disagree with that. My stance is because that life in its early stages is dependent on another person's life to exist. That person that holds that next level up, that's containing the original person, has the legal right to commit that murder. That's where I stand on it. I know a lot of people say, well, no, abortion is not murder because you're not actually taking life. I disagree with that. I just think that the mother has the right to take that life. Tui says, as a villain, would you say Sensui better or worse than someone like Payne as a villain? I don't know that you can say better or worse in that situation, Tui. See, Payne, I didn't agree with his outlook. I didn't agree, those who watched that Naruto with me know that I didn't agree with his way of making everything right with the world. And now we all know Payne switched direction at the very end there. But it was a legitimate perspective, as to a certain degree with Sensui's. So I don't think you can call one better or worse. They were very similar in how they, I guess, in the conversations they would create. But I don't know how you would say one was better or worse than the other. I really can't. I mean, I'd be glad to make that call if I thought I could, but I don't know how you would even make that. Alyssa says, how about making USA a kingdom with King Curtis and Princess Spaz Kid? And as soon as I read Princess Spaz Kid, I just flashed back to South Park with Kenny. Princess Kenny, that's just how he's rolling lately. I like that. Omega says, brother, he says, hooray for first degree murder. I think we agree on a lot of things, though. I think we would eventually find something we don't agree on. I think that's true with everybody, Omega. Yeah, you and I seem to be very similar outlook on everything, but yeah, I don't think any two people ever agree with one another right down the line. And that's why I say that's fine. It's part of what makes for good conversation. Prism says, I don't know if I call abortion murder. I don't like abortion, that's for sure, but I think that ultimately it's a right women should have. I do too. I think it's a woman's right. Do I think it is technically murder? Yeah, I do. But I think it's their right. Now, I do believe that it should be contained to within the first few months of pregnancy, simply because, okay, the one thing, it is a personal responsibility thing as well. Now, except in the cases, obviously, of rape or something along those lines, you did take actions outside of rape willingly that got you in this position. So, at the very least, you owe it to that other potential life to make that call before there's any type of cognizance or anything whatsoever. So that part, but see, to me, I don't see how you can say it's, for me, that it's not classically the definition of a murder. I just think it's one that's should be legal. um, Dragon says, I'm pro-choice to an extent. If it is done because of medical issues or rape, I'm fine with it. Yep. If it is done as a means of birth control, I can't accept it. See, I agree. I understand what you're saying there, because that does suck, and it's sad that so many people have used it as a means of birth control. It's like, as humans, you can't have enough control, enough discipline to just hold off till you get a condom or something. And in fairness, all forms of birth control, none of them are 100%. So there are some where, again, the woman ends up pregnant. They took the precautions they needed to. To me, it's her decision. It's her moral decision to decide what to do with that potential life. I don't like using it as a means of birth control, but I don't think you can delineate. I don't think you can cut it up into that fine of pieces without it creating even more issues. I think it's either got to be a yes or a no thing. I do agree with you that it's a shitty way to conduct yourself to use it as a form of birth control, but there's no way to fairly say, well, you can have an abortion, you can't because you're just using it as birth control. But I do agree with that sentiment, though. Absolutely. Del Central. I'm pretty far left, but I'm sure we'd agree more than even you may think. Too often, both sides of politics is represented by the worst, most extreme. Yeah, as a matter of fact, my closest friend in real life, I mean, obviously, I've created some really deep, meaningful friendships with a lot of you guys here, and they go back many years. But in my real life, the person who is the closest friend to me now is a liberal. And we talk politics all the time, but we talk from a different perspective. We never have a problem with it because I know his beliefs and I respect his beliefs. He knows my beliefs and respects my beliefs. And actually, it makes for interesting conversations. Not that it's uninteresting to speak with somebody who thinks the same way you do, but it's just basically, I think XYZ, and the other guy goes, yeah, me too, XYZ. So there's just not as much conversation to be had. But yeah, again, my best friend, and he's a liberal. Would you say one had it worse? Probably pain. I'd have to, again, the only thing too you got to remember with me in my memory, I forget sometimes elements within a story, but off the top of my head, I would say pain. Dylan, I want to be a doctor just for the abortions alone. Jesus Christ. Prism says, I think 7 to 9 months is when abortion is wrong. I would agree with that. If it could survive outside the womb at that point, I don't like. No, I agree with that completely. Prism, and again, no matter how many times you argue on something, there's always common ground to be had. Yes, simply because, as I said, and again, outside of a case of rape or failed birth control, outside of that, you made some life decisions that created this pregnancy. The very least you owe to that potential life is to make an immediate decision on whether or not you're going to let it come to fruition. Yes, I completely agree with that. 100%. There's no reason for it to have to wait that long. Which way do you lean? I lean politically? I lean right, Narwhals. And even that changes from moment to moment because, as I pointed out to the guys before, I don't like extremists on either side. So if you'd have hit me 15, 20 years ago when the Tea Party was a thing, I found myself leaning a little more left because it was like, okay, now the far right's starting to take over the Republicans. And now I find myself leaning right because the far left, is encroaching on the Democrats. And I am not. The one thing I am absolute on, and I have absolutely no use for whatsoever, is socialism. And obviously we've seen a lot of that creeping into the Democratic stratosphere, and that pushes me right. Brother, he says, don't need to worry about pregnancy when your pull-out game is on point. Well, dang, okay. That's right. when the pull-out game is working, everything is good. Omega says, I believe in freedom of choice, so I agree with abortion for the same reason I agree with the Second Amendment. Yeah, pretty much me too, Omega. I mean, that potential life is entirely dependent on that woman for survival. Because of that, I think she has the right to terminate it if she so desires. I just don't feel a need to try and sanitize it and say, well, it's not murder because it's just a conglomeration of cells. No, it's a potential human being. No matter what state it's in, it's either a human being or a potential human being. In any event, you're snuffing out a life. It's just that in those cases, I think that's your decision to make. Let's see. U.S. needs to focus more on individual state governments. That I'm in agreement with too, Lifer. I think there's a lot of things, just common sense you would think would tell you that they're more appropriately and adequately handled at a state level than a federal level. I mean, I don't mind the federal government setting certain broad guidelines on issues, but more specifically, I'm in complete agreement with that, because you know, state by state, you have demographics that are entirely different. So yes, I've always believed that though. Poppy Black says, I hate militant vegans. My God, they're fucking nutbags. I have no problems with vegans in general. And I think militants in any group, Poppy, same thing, because now, again, I'm an atheist. Militant atheists piss me off. When they take this whole, you know, this holier than thou, when they take this haughty, superior attitude towards those who have faith because you believe in this spaghetti monster in the sky and you're such a simpleton. That's bullshit. Listen, everybody's got a right to believe in what they want to believe in. I hope they're right. Again, everybody that's close to me in my family is religious. I hope they're right. I hope when they pass on, I hope they go to someplace fucking wonderful, someplace awesome. Do I think that's the case? No, I don't think that's the case. Am I always right? Yes. No. But why come down on people because they want to believe that? Now, when people, any religion, I'm not specifying anyone at all, when people use religion as a means to hurt other people, then I have a problem with it. But as far as just religion in general and the peace and tranquility it brings to some people, I don't understand why people hate on that. That's why I don't call myself an atheist anymore. It's taking on a political meaning, basically. It's unfortunate, Andrew. Yeah, it is. And I think it's because for so many people, it becomes who they are. You know, it becomes their whole being. And it's like anything else. It's just a little part of what makes you you. Yes, there are some absolutely annoying atheists out there, Big Green. Absolutely. All hail the flying spaghetti monster. Let's see. Describing modern day leftists as liberal is kind of like describing the religious right neocons as libertarians. People like John Locke are the complete opposite of modern leftists. Well, and you know, that's what was in the title too. We didn't get to it a lot, Maz. There's such a breakdown within the Democratic side right now too, because you have that extreme left, and they have that social. They're pretty much same thing. That socialist element within the party, and the more centrist. And now with what you're seeing with Bernie and Warren going at it, that was huge, because they're, of the remaining Democrats, they're the two far left Democrats, and now you got them at one another. You got both of their supporters after each other. Now Hillary comes out today and just says Bernie, nobody likes Bernie. Now the Bernie bros are losing their fucking minds out there. Trump may be able to win in 2020 without ever even going out and shaking a hand, kissing a baby, because the Democrats might give it to him at the rate they're going. One of the only platforms that I think gives conservatives and liberals both a fair shake is Cuomo Primetime. Always a genuine debate there. I wouldn't say always. I think he's better at it than most, Prism. He's definitely leans hard left. And it's just what happened to CNN in general. They always had a left lean, but it was palatable. It's like, okay, so they lean left, but they were still reported the news fairly, and they just gave up on that. Once Trump got the nomination, they didn't care anymore. Jarek says, do you think the second Civil War will happen? Democratic Party and Democratic supporters seem completely obsessed with false info and are now trying to take the right way and take our leaders. I think under two conditions could Civil War II happen, currently, of what I see now. If I think if you were to implement, if a socialist became president and you were able to implement enough of that person's policies, because that's the thing too. If you get a Bernie Sanders say as president, it doesn't mean that he's going to be able to implement the policies he wants to. And they implement those policies, I think down the road, yes, you would see upheaval, because once people realize that things aren't actually free and what it does to their tax rates, and that they can't, their paycheck no longer allows them to put food on the table, I think that would result in an uprising. And with what we saw in Virginia, as calm and well mannered as everyone was, I think if you get any type of a major push where they start eliminating, they're right on the border right now, but if you start trying to eliminate certain weapons, if you start trying to make it a crime for people owning certain weapons that are now legal, I think it is potential to have a flashpoint where you could see that take off. Again, I'm not saying, okay, as soon as that happens, well, we all got to get in the streets and fight. It may not. It may never get to that point, but I think it's got real potential to do it. Dow Central says, as someone with socialist tendencies, I'd argue a lot of the U.S. is already socialist for the rich corporations. I don't think me and you think, same thing when we talk about socialism. Well, I'll talk about what I'm talking about with socialism. If you want, it's much more nuanced than this. What I'm talking about when I talk about socialism as it pertains to the individual is I don't believe in giving the government any more of your money for them to disperse back to you than is absolutely necessary. Because a lot of people saying, well, you already have socialism because you have a fire department, you have a police department. That's nothing to do with it. That's because that is the most effective and only real tangible way to create those services. As far as healthcare and things along those lines, there are free market venues that I am in much more favor of. My issue with healthcare is bringing the cost down mainly because of the pharmaceutical companies, and getting all that under control first before we worry about anything else. But as far as, hey, let's all throw our money at the government and you just disperse it back to us as you see fit to give us healthcare. Nope. Anytime, I am never in favor of giving the government any more money than necessary for them to disperse back to you. I'd rather I keep the money and make my buying decisions in the open market. The Democrats won't even support Bernie. No, most of them won't, Lifer. But in fairness to the Democrats, Bernie's not a Democrat. He never has been. He's an independent. I mean, he's a Democratic socialist. He'll tell you that. So he's always been an independent up there in, where's he from? Vermont, right? Vermont or New Hampshire. But he's always been an independent. So he's not actually a Democrat. So you can't be surprised that they're not, falling all over themselves to support him. Okay, let's see. I think I missed this one from Omega. So I think the male should have say in the matter, not just the woman making that call. Of course, that doesn't apply to rape. That's sticky, Omega. And again, it's so that's the parts of the abortion debate that are so hard to slice up. Slice up an abortion. That was a poor choice of words, Curtis. Because yes, there was a guy involved as well, but if you go back to my original take on it and my real feeling on it, which is that the woman is providing that vessel which allows that potential human to survive, it kind of takes him out of the loop because he's not providing that. Yes, he did. He provided the seed that made the whole thing take place, but now he's no longer physically a part of it. So as much as I'd like to say, it's not, you can't say that you believe it's the woman's choice, but unless the man who fathered it says, nope, you got to have that kid because I want it. How could we take that step and take that step and say, okay, now you can't have an abortion because daddy says he wants it. So again, it's not fair. It's not fair at all to the father, not even a little bit, but I don't see any way around it. Let's see. Yeah, I got, thank you, Wolverine. I just caught that. That's why I scrolled back up to make sure I hadn't missed any super chats. Oh, hold on. I just saw something that I lost it. Ah, crap. And my finger moves too fast. Player Hunter says, medically, necessary health care should be provided by the government, same as college. It's as simple as investing in the well-being and education of the population. Well, okay, it's as simple as investing in the well-being and who's investing? I can invest in my own well-being. I can invest in my own education. I don't need government to do it for me. That's exactly what I'm saying. Medically necessary healthcare. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Medically necessary healthcare. What other type of healthcare is there? I don't know if you're trying to draw a line in there that I'm not aware of. And why should you say same as college? Oh, you want to make college available for everybody for no cost to them. So the people that don't want to go to college, the people that just want to go to a trade school, all of them, you think they should be taxed to pay for the other person to go to college? I think that's bullshit. I think that you can make college much more affordable. There's a lot of ways to do it. And the thing is, a lot of individual states, including New York, have done it. They've made college much more affordable. Spaz Kid is living proof of that. But to say that those who don't want to go to college need to pay for those who do, no, I don't buy that shit at all, not even a little. It's not somebody else's responsibility. The term democratic socialist, Maz says, is an oxymoron to begin with. No socialist nation has been democratic, and every nation people describe as democrat socialist are capitalist nations with healthcare. And Maz is right about that. And that's why, particularly in the Scandinavian countries, and we see it right here at the channel, because we have a lot of people from Scandinavian countries, get so annoyed when they get held up by those on the left as an example of how the socialist structure works, because they'll say exactly what Maz just said. Capitalist nations with healthcare. It's an entirely different thing. Yes, I see that a lot from the gang right in here. They get so annoyed with that. Let's see. Crazy how important state government plays, but you don't get to experience the impact when you're in a liberal state like New York, Brother E says. Few states sway between either side when it's voting time. Intriguing. It is true. That's why you're right. That's why those, and you use the perfect word, that's why those swing states where it is more possible for them to go one way or the other are so just insanely important. They determine the presidential elections. Because like you say, New York, California, they're voting Democrat. It's just a given. It's the way it is. Excuse me. A lot of the states in the Midwest, in the South, they're voting Republican. It's just the way it is. Sajil says, Curtis, by the time a woman usually finds out she's pregnant, the baby's already old enough to feel pain and has a heartbeat. I used to be a hardline pro-choice until I looked at opposing arguments. Well, you'd have to be more specific than that, Sajil. When are you saying the woman finds out usually when she finds out she's pregnant? First of all, usually, you got to be careful when you talk about these things. Usually it's a very, very obtuse term. I know, the one girl we have that works as staff here is also a friend of the family. She wanted to have a baby. She knew she was pregnant because she was looking to have a baby. She knew she was pregnant a week or two after the act because she took the pregnancy test, and now they have them where they can give you a fairly accurate assessment even before you're due for your next period and everything. So I don't know what you mean by usually finds out she's pregnant, unless you're talking about only unexpected pregnancies. And even then, if a woman is on a regular structure with her menstrual cycle, it's not that hard to figure out that you're pregnant. I mean, for a lot of them. And a lot of women don't have regular menstrual cycles, and I can see where, okay, now you're talking about somebody who goes several months before they realize it. But usually, I don't know. I don't know that I would agree with usually, Sajil. Again, if a woman's got a regular menstrual cycle, and I know women personally, this has been the case. We knew my wife was pregnant because she had a regular menstrual cycle when she was pregnant with Braxton. We had suspicions within a few weeks, because when she was ovulating to when she missed her period is only a matter of a few weeks, and we knew. So I don't know about usually, and it still wouldn't change my mind anyway. Okay, if you could make the case, if you could prove that at X amount of weeks, and it's within that 4 to 6 range, that the child feels pain, it's still I believe it's still the woman's choice to determine whether or not to put that kid through that pain. Omega says, okay, let's put it this way. I believe that the male should know what's happening and it not be a secret. Though, yes, women should have the final say on it. Yes, I would agree with that. I think, yes, I think that the father should absolutely have the right to know what's going on. I don't think he should, again, as I said, be able to be anything of a begin-all, end-all to the decision. That's up to the woman. But yes, I don't agree with keeping that information away from him. That I would absolutely agree with. Why is Hillary attacking Bernie? Jar, who the hell knows why Hillary does anything? But my guess would be because Hillary doesn't want Bernie to get the nomination. Again, you're talking the extreme left, you're talking the socialist thing. I don't think she wants him to have the nomination. I think she'd be way more comfortable with Biden getting it. I think she'd be more comfortable with, oh my gosh, her name's gone right out of my head, from Minnesota. You guys know who I'm talking about. Names escape me all the time. Pretty much anybody, probably even Warren, she would rather have in there than Bernie. So I think it's Klobuchar. Thank you, Prism. Yes, Klobuchar. I'm sure she'd rather have Klobuchar. So I think it's pretty obvious why she's after Bernie. Ma says because Hillary is a goddamn narcissist. That's true. That legit thinks she was put on earth by God to become president. Not kidding. The bitch actually said, yeah. Well, narcissist, in fairness, applies to a lot of politicians and most that have achieved any level nationally and internationally. So, but yes, Hillary thought that, 2016 was when she got ordained, when the prophecy had been fulfilled, and I don't think she will ever get over the fact that it was taken from her. Remember when Bernie supported her? Yeah, Flame Enforcer. He did. It took him a while, but he did. In fair, and again, I don't like Bernie, but again, let's be fair about things. He did. After when he first bowed out, he didn't, but he came around and he brought a lot of his supporters over to her. I mean, people on Hillary's side still bitch that he didn't jump on her bandwagon earlier, and they think that he wasn't as forceful as he should be in coming out for her. But I think he did. I think he did the right thing by their party in that case. AC says maybe it's really time for a reset. Humanity became so fucked up. Maybe we need a change. In other words, it could be giant meteor 2020. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Prism says people still blaming Bernie for Trump make me so mad. The man did 40 events for her, endorses her, and his supporters overwhelmingly supported her versus their supporters for Obama. Such BS. And not only that, Prism, beyond any of that, blaming Bernie for Trump is ridiculous because had Hillary campaigned in those crucial Rust Belt states and had Hillary never uttered the word deplorable, either one of those two, and certainly the two of them together, she would have won. So they can bitch and try and blame it on Bernie all you want. She made some really, really heavy strategic errors. She put off a lot of people that she potentially could have won with the whole deplorable thing. So, in other words, if you were even thinking about Trump, you were in that basket of deplorables. And I know people personally who are just like, you know what? Right here, twat. And that was the end of it. They stopped considering her because they were considering Trump as well. So I think it was the deplorables comment and her arrogance in thinking that she had those Midwestern states tied up. Nancy Pelosi. My crotch is as tight as my liberal views. I don't believe that, Nancy. No way is it that tight. Prism says Hillary tried to pivot center and moderate, and it didn't work because Trump went populist. Populists win elections more easily than your typical candidate like Hillary. It was on her, not Bernie. I think there's a lot of truth to that as well, Prism. And the last part of your sentence I agree with completely. That's just another one. She did have an awful lot of excuses after she lost, and that was one of the most espoused ones was it was on Bernie, and no, that's bullshit. That election was hers to win because Trump was not popular then. His approval ratings when he got elected were lower than they are right now. The average approval ratings. It was hers to win. She fucked up. The happiest Democrat during election day was Donald Trump himself. You're right, Flame Enforcer. A lot of people don't realize that Donald Trump was a Democrat for years. To be fair, looking at her face, wouldn't be surprised if she had her crotch stabbed or some shit. Jesus, you guys. Uzan says, unrelated. I think America need medical help for everyone. Oh shit! Your message is gone, pal. To be fair, look. So now I'm lost. Okay. Excuse me. Dr. Hammond, fetus killer, get tickets now. Especially in the Rust Belt. That's why I think Bernie beats Trump, is that populism was well received in the Midwest. Prism, I don't think, and again, this I'll admit to having a bias, but even trying to escape that bias, I don't think Bernie can beat Trump because, unfortunately, now you are into politics, I'm into politics. Most of us that are remaining here on the stream with the way it's turned are into politics. There's a lot of people out there who aren't. And I think Bernie's undoing comes if he were to get the nomination and the Republicans have got record-setting amounts of money pouring in for the drive to the election. And when those ads get out there and they keep hammering on that socialist element, and they start explaining to people that this is what you can expect, and they'll, just like Bernie tries to undercut exactly how much his programs are going to cost, they're going to go to the high side of what his programs are going to cost. And when they start making people understand that all the free stuff you're getting, this is what's going to cost you in the tax structure, I think that'll be his undoing. I don't think he can overcome that. You confused me, Michael says. If you know that democratic socialist countries are capitalist, then why do you think Democrat socialists like Bernie are socialists? Because I don't think Bernie wants a situation like classic democratic socialist countries. I think Bernie wants to take it several steps further than that. And he said it because in those countries, in those democratic socialist countries, the ones that I know of, most all of them have a very healthy, robust private insurance available. It's a big part of their entire healthcare structure, and Bernie has said he wants to get rid of it. He said it himself. So why would I think that? I don't trust him at all. I think the Democratic Socialist tag is something he uses to try and become more palatable. I don't think he has anything but strict socialism in mind. I do not, and I've never seen anything to make me believe differently. He's already out here with all the things that are going to be free. We're going to pay for health care for all. We're going to pay for college for all. We're going to give you loan forgiveness. We're going to, everything is just going to be paid for. Daddy government's going to take care of you. You just give us more money and we'll redistribute it for you. I just don't buy that at any level. At any level. I know a lot of people out there want some free stuff. I know they don't want to have to pay to go to college. They want somebody to hand them their health insurance. I'm just not a supporter of throw all our money in a pile and then let the government decide who gets what. all things that make sense. What things that make sense? Michael Me paying for your college makes sense. It might make sense to you. It makes absolutely zero sense to me. I'll pay for mine. You pay for yours. Me paying for your health care. I don't want to go too overboard. I don't have a problem with government alleviating the cost of health care, but before anything takes place, I want to see some regulations on the pharmaceuticals. So when we get that cost down, if somebody is ineligible to get good health care, I don't have a problem with government assistance in that. What I would like to see is a lot of those Republican gimmies, those tax breaks that they gave to the corporations, I would like to see them rolled back, and they can get them back, but it's on a merit system that is dictated by the level of health insurance you offer to your employees. You want those big tax breaks back, you can get them. Make sure that, we'll have 3 categories. You can have the silver, the bronze, the silver, the gold level health insurance. Here's what you get as far as a tax break for providing it to your employees for each. But as far as spreading it out and saying, okay, let's wipe out private health insurance, which works for apparently around 150 million of us, myself included. Let's wipe that out because we need you to pay for other people to have theirs. No, leave me alone and figure out how to deal with those who don't have something that they like. Same thing with college. I don't want to pay for your college. If when my kid goes to college, I'll pay for that. If I want to go back to school, I'll pay for that. You pay for yours. Now, are there things we can do to bring down the cost of college? Absolutely. And again, a lot of states are already doing it. But no, I'm not for throw all the money in a pile so those who don't want to contribute can have every bit as much as those that want to work their asses off. Omega says the thing is he wants taxes to cover everything, and the sheer amount that would raise taxes will keep Bernie from getting elected. That's where I'm at, Omega. When people start to understand the math, when they take a good hard look at the math, because again, the majority of people seem to be, if they follow politics, it's likely. When it gets down to brass tacks and they start seeing what everything is going to cost, I think that's where he's done. Regulation on big pharma is a double-edged sword. The U.S. by far is the biggest developer of new drugs. If you regulate them too much, the U.S. might lose it. No, and Maz, I'm always careful. I didn't point out this time. I'm always careful to say when I say regulation, that doesn't mean go in and say, okay, this is, cut them off at the knees and say this is all you can charge for drug A, drug B, drug C. The pharmaceutical companies should be able to come to the government and say, listen, here's all our costs. Most importantly, here's our costs of research and development. Because the U.S. spends hundreds of millions, probably billions on research and development of new drugs, of new medical procedures, so on and so forth. They absolutely deserve to be able to make that money back and to make themselves a healthy profit, because you want there to be profit in that industry if you want that industry to keep growing and your life to be able to be lived more healthy and more pain-free. But where I have an issue is when you have already established drugs out there and say this drug costs $5 right now for a 30-day supply. Oh wait, this same drug, we just found out that it has another purpose, and that purpose is something that is purely cosmetic. Oh, all right, now it costs $2,000 for a 30-day supply. That's where I have a problem, and there's a lot of that. But as far as, no, they should absolutely be able to make a nice, healthy profit. And I know people say the opposite, but trust me, you want them making a profit. You want brilliant minds going into that field. Jar P says, this Senate trial is ridiculous. Democrats and Republicans will both be damaged by this. Democracy is dying. They're wasting money for grandstanding. And both sides are doing a lot of grandstanding. And the thing of it was, I'm not obviously, I'm not supportive of this impeachment process at all, especially for what they went after him for. If they were going to impeach him anyway, which it seemed like they were going to do from the time he got elected, I mean, they were calling for it from the day after the election, they picked one of the weakest avenues. They picked one of the worst avenues as far as getting the common, average, everyday American to give a shit. And the polls all back that up. When people are asked about what's important to them in the election, the impeachment process is way, way, way down the list. Nobody cares. People just don't care. The ones that care are the extremists who have wanted Trump out since day one, and they feel like that this is their in. But it isn't. The majority of people don't care. Even if they find, because the polls bear this out as well. Excuse me, I'm sorry, guys. Most people think he did things that were inappropriate. But a lot of people are like, don't care. And they say, oh, well, this percentage of people, this is what makes me laugh. Well, CNN polls are terrible, but 51% of people want the president removed. Well, then you go through and you take an aggregate of the polls, and he's doing well right now against all the Democratic opposition. Just because you're given two choices, should we take him? Just because somebody says, okay, I think he did stuff bad enough that they should take him out, doesn't mean they're not going to vote for him, because that poll doesn't take into account the fact that maybe they hate the other person even more, which is the case a lot, which is why Hillary lost. They hated her even more. There are international regulations on drug prices that a vast majority of countries follow to within a few bucks. U.S. is 500% above all of them. I agree, Prism, and that's what I'm saying. So there's plenty of money. There's plenty of ways to cut the cost of drugs in this country. We cannot get it down. This is what a lot of people don't understand, though, is we can't get it down to where some other countries are simply because we paid for the research and development on that. And you can't expect anybody to work at a loss. Or you can't expect these insanely brilliant minds that come up with these new medications. You can't expect them to work in that field if it's not profitable. They'll go into other things. That's understandable. By everything that makes sense, I mean that I don't see an issue with paying for other people if I end up paying less. But I'm in the UK, not the US. Okay. Well, you want to use me as an example, Michael? My health insurance costs zero. Because I stayed in a job that had great health insurance at the cost of, I could have made, as a truck driver, I could have made an easy $15,000 a year extra for my whole career, because where I worked paid good, but it didn't pay nearly what over the road truckers were getting and trucking companies were paying. But I stayed there because I wanted those benefits. So I know I'm an extreme case, but I pay zero. When I go to any doctor I want. When I go to my doctor, I have a $20 copay unless it's my annual physical. That's part of the insurance. If I go to the emergency room, I am maxed at $75. That's it. Doesn't matter what it costs me. I've had to go for several different things. $75. My insurance pays the rest. I have a really good insurance. It's not that dissimilar to what a lot of people have. The way that the media likes to present healthcare in America is that everybody that's on private healthcare is just being raped. It's terrible. They're overpaying. They can't afford to put food, and it's just not true. A lot of private healthcare in America works very well for the people that are on it. So no, I don't. I paid, well, also I paid part of my healthcare cost the whole time I was working. Once I retired is when I don't have a payment to it anymore. But in essence, I paid 15 grand a year or so for well over 20 years in lost wages because I wanted to keep my benefits. So do I think that I owe somebody else now to pay for somebody else's healthcare? No. Work through the system yourself. When I first started out, I worked 2 jobs. I worked 3 jobs a lot of times because I wanted things. I didn't expect to get paid a bigger. I was working in fast food. Nobody expected to get paid a living wage in fast food. It was a beginner's position. It was a position for kids and people with no skills, nothing to offer. So you work 2 jobs. I just don't have, and again, it's because of personal experience. I don't have a lot of sympathy for that. Well, you got to pay me this X amount of dollars so I can live. Well, no. In this economy, you can go out and get another job. They're always looking at fast food. You can get a roommate, share expenses. Most of us have had to do that. There's a lot of ways to work the system until you get some skills that you can turn, and you don't have to go to college for them. I didn't, and I did just fine. There are a lot of things out there. There are a lot of trades. There are a lot of different areas you can get into and do just fine in this current economy. Can it be tweaked to be better? Absolutely. But does it need an entire overhaul? No, no way. Sajil says, Curtis, the worst thing about the abortion debate is people are going to say you're either a baby killer or that you're telling women what to do with their bodies. The 2 sides can't talk to each other. That's a lot of the debates now, Sajil. Unfortunately, you're right. Everybody just gets entrenched, and it's just, you're bad, you're an idiot, you don't understand. No, you're bad, you're an idiot, you don't understand. And that's as far as the conversation goes. You're right, Sajil. That's how it is on most every hot button topic right now. Excuse me. Prism says, my parents have solid insurance, but they don't like it. Lots of stuff, it hasn't been converted for them, like my bus crash accident, had to pay $6,000 out of pocket for a BS hospital visit. And like I say, Prism, I'm not saying, and nor did I ever try to say, every private insurance is good. But now my take on that is, and I already addressed that, if these big companies, and this is where I am, this would be more left side, I want them to roll back. They got too much in that last tax package that the Republicans passed. Roll back some of those gimmies they gave the big corporations and say, listen, again, here's 3 tiers. You can provide your employees with this bronze level, this silver level, or this gold level of health care. This is what you get as far as incentives for each level. If you provide them with the gold, we're going to give you some really nice tax breaks. Will it come out ahead in the wash? I don't know. But what you'll do is you'll keep employees too. Let's keep that in mind. Just like me, I stayed at my job when I could have been making a lot more money because they gave me great benefits. So even if the dollars don't add up for that big corporation, even if they lose that tax break and the one they get back doesn't pay for what they're giving in health insurance, it'll pay for itself in retaining employees. So that would eliminate things like what you're talking about, to where if you're giving those levels of health insurance, you can't get hit with this monumental bill at the hospital that destroys your lifestyle. Excuse me. Not a fan of trickle down. I wouldn't say not a fan. I don't I think trickle down economics can work, but I don't think the Republicans generally ever give it a chance to because they put too much at the top. I think trickle down can work if you give a nice little coating on the top and allow it to seep through. If you just heap all the icing on top and just keep heaping on more and more, less and less of it trickles down. If if that explanation made any sense or not. I think in theory it can work. I don't think they execute it well. Player Hunter says you can work full-time in America if you only get paid minimum wage and you're literally still under the poverty line. It's not a living wage. Should be... Okay, Player Hunter, first of all, that's what I just said. I worked that. Back when I was working for minimum wage, it was $2.65 an hour, something like that. Of course it wasn't a living wage. That's why I worked a second job. You realize, though, okay, now... I mean, that's absolutely ludicrous. If you made minimum wage $20 an hour right now, I live in a very, very depressed economy where I am in New York. Every small business that requires employees would go out. They couldn't do it. There's just no way. They don't make enough. Every pizza joint, every place like that that would have to pay their staff $20 an hour would be done. Either that or the price of pizza would go up so much that you'd never sell anymore and you'd be out of business anyway. And nothing exists in a vacuum. If you made a ridiculous minimum wage increase like that to $20 an hour, that means that everybody that is in fields where you actually have to bring something to the table. You got the kid at McDonald's making $20 an hour at the counter. That means people that are working in the medical fields and people that are even in the trucking field, something that requires a skill, you've got to pay them at a rate that's now above and beyond that $20 because that's the bottom of the curve. Then everything you pay for is going to dramatically escalate. Nothing in an economy operates in a vacuum like that to where you can say, hey, let's just give everybody $20 an hour and that $20 an hour is going to be worth exactly what it is before we instituted that as a minimum wage. That's crazy. JRP says, I don't understand abortion. So it's the logic that two consenting adults don't understand penis plus vagina plus sperm equals baby. That they're ridiculous. We shouldn't fund people's dumb choices. Consequences exist. Excuse me. And the thing is, Jar, as I said, there's no foolproof plan with dealing with it. I am very pro-choice because I believe that existence is inside of that woman's body. And I agree with what you're saying. You're an idiot. If you are having unprotected heterosexual sex and you get pregnant and you want to abort it, I have serious concerns about your decision making and who you are as a human being. But all that said, I still don't feel that it's the government's right, since that person has to grow within inside of that other person, that they tell the person on top that's providing the growth, providing the nutrition, that they have to carry it until the baby is born. That's just how I feel about it. I think they are killing the baby. There's no question. But I think that's their right within the first few months of that pregnancy. Once you're out of that first few months, I don't think it should be an option anymore. But yes, I don't disagree with what you're saying at all. Now, of course, we have to allow for the fact that sometimes birth control fails, as I said. No birth control is 100%. And there are cases of rape and things of that nature where what we're talking about here doesn't come into play. But with what you're saying, yes, I do agree. I get basic insurance that doesn't cover dental. Yeah, Zombie Wolf, a lot of plans don't cover dental. Ours, we had a separate dental plan offered to us at my work, and I kept it for a while. But really, with what the dental procedures cost, we'd go to the dentist for this, for that. It wasn't worth keeping the insurance. Just paying for it out of pocket we came out further ahead. And I've got such a mess because I've been smashed in the mouth so much. That's why I have teeth that are pushed back and they're all at goofy angles. And I got this one down here that's dark. It won't stay light because I can't brush it adequately. Plus it's been so damaged. So I've got so much going on in there that it would cost me thousands. But yeah, a lot of people don't have dental insurance. That's a tough one to get. Although I have to admit, if keeping your teeth perfect, if you got something better to start with than do I, and keeping your teeth perfect is important to you, dental insurance can be a lot more reasonable in your budget than health insurance, of course. There are some real reasonable dental insurance is out there where you can, you can have $20, $25 co-pays and get a lot of things done. We think your teeth are sexy still, Jared. Oh, they're a mess. Again, you can't get punched in the mouth and hit in the face with things as often as I have and expect to have teeth that are in any kind of shape. Excuse me. Emily says, did you hear about the outbreak of a disease in China? It's really bad. No. Jesus Christ. No, I missed it. Again, with American media, I'm not surprised I missed it. I don't know if this is true, but apparently an inhaler in America is like over $100. For me, it's like £3. Instinct, my wife is on an inhaler. It depends on which one. They're all different. But like I say, we have health insurance. Some of them can get expensive. Now, again, that goes back to what you have to remember before we can determine if somebody's really being ripped off or not. Instinct, we'd have to see who invested the money into the research and development that created that inhaler. It can run into the tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. So the company does have a right to make that back. Do they have a right to make that back plus several thousand%? Probably not. That's not fair to anybody, and nor should it be. But without having numbers, we can't really say, because if they put in that research and development, that company in England or wherever it may be has access to now make that product as well. But £3 to $100, that's an extreme difference. I would say there's probably very likely something nefarious going on the American end with that one. Curtis, how do you feel about the anti-Muslim concentration camps in China? That's just horrible, Jarek. I obviously, I don't want to see anybody treated that way. China's whole system of dealing with their own people is lacking greatly in humanity. I need anime insurance. Imagine telling your boss that. Yeah, wizard. we all need that. Guys, unfortunately I'm gonna have to go. Wow, this was a long stream. This was a lot of fun today. Thank you for joining in this stream. We talked about enough hot button topics. I'm gonna let this stream go live to the channel. We'll see if it stays there or not. We'll see what happens. Maybe I will start something where we're going to have separate streams on a separate entity where we talk about all these things, but we'll see how that goes. But in any event, thank you for hanging in there and doing this with me. This was a blast. Again, I'm going to let it go to the channel. I know it's going to get demonetized. Don't care about that. You guys know the 92 cents. I'm just concerned that if we get into enough hot button topics, YouTube may say it's not appropriate for our platform. So if it's not there, it had nothing to do with me. That's all I'm telling you guys. Guys, thank you for the lively conversation. Thank you for the perspectives, whether they agreed with mine, disagreed with mine. This is what makes it fun. This is what makes it interesting. Thank you guys for all of that. Maybe someday I'll get to title these streams with, I think I'm going to, I'm going to start titling the streams with however I want. I have to be careful how I write them. They're going to demonetize them anyway. They might cut us off anyway. Fuck it. We'll talk about whatever we want to talk about. I'll put it in the title of the stream so guys know what's coming up, and we'll deal with YouTube as they go. All right, guys. I'll see you around the channel. See you around the goosh, and I will be talking to you really soon.